Hey, Kev Camelot back at it again. The boy is back in town, and this is my second episode looking back at my rookie season in Formula One. And this was a big race. It's Malaysia, the team's home race, because we're owned by Tony F. and he owns Air Asia, the airline, the travel company, and QPR. Yeah, he's got a big job with that, hasn't he? And it was a interesting weekend, I will say. Lots of changeable weather. Didn't bring much upgrades to the racing. We had a front wing, I think that was about it, and little minor aero tweaks to the exhaust. But yeah, not many upgrades we would bring because it's a flyway race, and this is the circuit, the Sepang International Circuit, introduced in 1999 with loads of corners and technical and typical Tilka track, and we're going across the start finish line. Got to get a good exit out of that last corner, get the DRS on early, and get some curves out of that last corner. Brake about 50 meters, turn in early, get the car hugging the apex, not like I did there, and then hug the left-hander, and accelerate where you get the DRS on early, and just flat out through turn 3 towards turn 4. And this is a low fuel run, so we've got DRS and curves and a bit faster than Australia. Brake about 80 meters, turn in early, get the car down to second gear, use a bit of that curve on the outside, in through 5 and 6, flat through 5, drop a gear and lift slightly for 6 and get it accelerated on early and get the DRS on very early, and in through 7. Brake about between the 50 meter and the Allianz sign, lift through the first part and then flat out through the second part, and then brake about 100 meters for this left hand hairpin, go down the second or first. If you're on the far side, get good acceleration out the corner. Then you'll flat out through here. Be careful of the back end though, getting away. Brake at that Allianz sign you see on the right. Just brake then. Go down a couple of gears. Take some curve on the outside and flat out through the left and right. And then you brake. I look at that pole on the in front. When I line up with that, I brake. I went for a wide line there, looking to get the car into the apex, so unfortunately the car wouldn't bite, so went wide on that. But I get DRS and curves down these straights. We used curves down these straights because we didn't have the best top line speed. Braked a bit early for the last corner, brake about 80 meters. Hug that curve on the inside and straighten the car up early, get the DRS on, get the curves on, and that's a lap of Sepang. And I'm sorry if you hear my breathing and stuff, got a bit of a cold here back in England. Yeah, you said the weather would be great in winter, didn't you? Yeah, right. And as you can see, this is the earlier laps in practice. The schedule for practice, we do a shakedown lap, as you can see, and green course, and no cars on it, no rubber. Very difficult, and very difficult to get out of the pit lane. I did have troubles with that in the race as well, as you're going to see, getting out of the pit lane. But it's a very green track, not much racing on it, and I think the team told me to stop the car. They saw like a drop in hydraulic pressure or something, but then it just returned to normal and we just continued normally, and I don't think we had any major issues with electronics or hydraulics or like mechanical issues, so I think it was just a false alarm. And yeah, this is when we're doing a prime run after we did the shakedown, just a race practice, 20 laps with fuel on the prime tyres, and Raikkonen just turned in front of me. I thought he's going wide just to let me through him, but he just turned in, and don't know what he was thinking. But the track proved really difficult. This is on the low fuel run with the option tyres that you saw on the hot lap. And I told you about the back end getting away. Just stepped away. This was before that lap, so we're just warming up the tyres a bit, and the back end gets away. And the back end was quite a handful in this race, and in the race actually the front end as well, it pushed a bit, as you're going to see here. No, they just pushed through the corner. It didn't really grip the front end. We had this new front wing, and as I said, we made minor tweaks to the rear aero, but it just didn't really work. It seemed it did make the car faster, but just didn't really seem to work in the race and at times in qualifying and practice. As you can see, I love this cam. Oh, and look at that back end go on the Salva. That's Kobayashi, isn't it? No. Yeah, I love this camera angle. Could watch this for days, going past the Salva there. But yeah, really interesting circuit I find Sepang. Monzo really enjoy. And whoa, where did that Mercedes come from? But yeah, very interesting circuit, and one I really enjoy. Good challenge, and yeah, these are my first laps in wet conditions in an F1 car, because yeah, I joined late, so I didn't get much practice in the car. It's all in dry, and then it started raining here at the end of practice. I think the last 15 minutes. So yeah, we did a heavy fuel run for like 20 laps, and then about 5 laps of this qualifying S practice. And this was because the rain was coming at the end of the session, so we wanted to get that in, fit that into our program for this race weekend. And they wanted to send me out in the wet because, as I said, I'd never had any experience in the wet in an F1 car, so they're going to send me out for the last 10 minutes just to help me get used to an F1 car in the wet. And it wasn't really set up for wet conditions, this car, and they softened the springs a bit and put more front wing and up the ride height slightly, but that's about it really. They just practice for part ferme, so because we had weather reports that it would rain in the race, and so they just wanted to practice the difference from the dry setup to a wet setup, because we expected dry setup in the race, in qualifying, sorry, and in the race we expected it to rain in the race Sunday. You can see really wet towards the end in sector 1. Sector 2 wasn't bad, and sector 3 either, but sector 1 really wet, and we were 15th in the end. As I said, we didn't put many upgrades on the car. We did our qualifying split, so maybe that's why we were high up the grid. But really impressed with 15th in practice, not anywhere where we expected. And yeah, you can see the usuals at the front: Red Bull, Ferrari, Gran, Lotus, Mercedes. We're going to be up there later in the season, aren't we? No? Oh, you don't want to give it away. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So in qualifying, yeah, this is my first qualifying. As I said, we were pretty confident after that practice, and I just outbraked myself. And Carter Kane just turned in as well and got a penalty for forcing him wide. Well, you appealed to the stewards, like, no, he turned in on me. Why are you, penalising me? Slightly outbraked myself, but they said he was on the qualifying lap, and yeah, the penalty stood, and it was really annoying. And this is on that first run, like the last lap, we run out of fuel out of this corner, and you can see that that time was much better than we wanted. It was going to be like a low 39 probably, but this is my fast lap, and going down the straight, it was a good lap. We made a couple of mistakes and got held up as well by the Malaysia coming out the pit lane. He just didn't move out the way. You can see we're getting held up for the first sector basically, and it's just, yeah, we had a big battle with Malaysia this year, and you're gonna see that that really does get heated. And I think that heat started here. The fire started here. Getting blocked and qualifying. We spoke to them after qualifying, like, why didn't you guys move out the way? And they're like, oh, we didn't radio, we didn't see it on GPS. Like, you're just making stuff up basically. Not impressed with them at all, but yeah, it was a good week. It was a good weekend if it wasn't for that, because I think we would have made it into Q2. We were about 6/10 down, I think, of making it Q2. But you can see we did a good first sector and a good second sector. The last sector, as I said, we were down on straight line speed, so we saved all the curves for those 2 straights, and didn't really make up for it at all. But it was a good lap. You can see we're going a bit wide, and going for that wide line and turning late and straighten the car up as quick as I can. But there's so many different lines you can do into the corner. I saw Heikki do the going really inside and then open it up on the exit, and he got great drive out of the corner, but he cost him some time into the corner. So it's like interesting ways of doing that corner, and so many different ways of doing it. But as you can see, a high 38, and I reckon we could have done that low 38 and got into Q2, but yeah, 10 place grid penalty was not helpful at all. We did beat Heikki though, as you can see, about a second, so and got the qualifying pace, but you can see Sauber Williams and Toro Rosso forced India up there in the Q1. But yeah, I just apologised for the penalty, and he's just like, no, we're appealing, don't worry about it, and apologised for not getting into Q2, because we really believe we did. And I think we had a good qualifying car this weekend, a great qualifying car for this weekend, but as now you're going to see in the race. Didn't quite up the car for the race, and as I said, we had major pushing issues with the car, and like the high corners especially, we don't really have the downforce of, say, the Red Bull, and so going into the corner, going midpoint into that corner, you sometimes have to lift off the accelerator while the Red Bull just, goes flat, and we don't really have the downforce to really commit to the car. But this is the first corner, made a good start, and just took advantage of other drivers being quite cautious, really, because you got these wide 1 and 2 corners where you can go 3 wide, and some drivers are really cautious about losing their front wings. But being at the back, we just like to take advantage of this, try and go through, because in these first few races we weren't really going to fight in the midfield. We were just trying to beat Russia and HRT, and so got the trough, almost hit Vettel, the double world champion there. So we're right behind him. You can see just there the car really pushing with this heavy fuel, and the rest are trying to take advantage. I think, this is on the first, goes down my inside and he spins. I don't know what happened, the back end just got away from him, and he went to the back of the field, so onto that 3, and I was about 2 seconds slower than Vettel. That wasn't a bad pace really in the first few laps, but then I got a bit greedy into turn 1, tried to brake as late as I could, and it let Vern through, was right behind me, and Maldonado was right behind him, and so if I made a mistake, they were all going through. And unfortunately I did at the end of the lap, and it's just right-hander, so difficult to get the car in, and I braked, tried to go for the wide line, cut it in, the car just did not grip the heavy fuel load. As I said, the rear end wasn't really stable for us this weekend, and so we didn't really want to comply and turn in as well. And Senna almost made it through. Is this one I did? No, it's not. But yeah, later I did a great move around him, I reckon, one of my best moves. Probably the best move I did in this race, but yeah, it was a good first stint. We did show good pace, and I was way ahead of Heikki at this point, and I think he was just struggling behind De La Rosa, I think, and battling with the HRTs, but again going wide, and Senna again trying to take advantage of that, and this was on the next lap, so you can see I'm really struggling getting into that corner, and again the front end just not gripping and just pushing in the middle of the corner and going wide, and Senna made it through, but we had a good fight back, got some curves there going on into the left, and we go down his inside. He slightly turns in on me, so that's why I tap his wheel, and I didn't really get punished for that either, because I think the stewards investigated, but they just saw him just not really give room, and so made it through and stayed ahead of him. We got into a good rhythm really on these option tyres, but you can see it's already darkening and the rain's about to come round the corner, and totally messed up that corner. And Charles Pitt got past Senna and got past me, and Pitt was amazing this race. So don't know what Marussia have had to the car or anything, but he was amazing. Again, having troubles with that right-hander. Yes, this is the one. Yeah, Senna, he goes past me. And of course, as I said, we save our curves for these 2 straights because we've not quite got the straight line speed, and he defends the inside, and I choose to stick it around the outside and got it past him. You might see me left off as well when I was alongside him, because I wanted DRS for this straight, so tactfully I tried to stay behind him when that DRS line appeared before the corner, and it did, and had DRS, but then I braked way too late and I did all my good work, and you can pick there going around the first corner. I just braked where I did without the DRS, so with the DRS it's about 10-15 meters too late, and Senna made it through, and then we have De La Rosa behind us, but we choose to pit with De La Rosa right behind us, and Senna about 5 seconds ahead of us now. It's like starting to pull away, and we don't have the pace of the Williams during the race. As I said, we didn't really have any race pace at all. It was quite terrible in the end, but it was a good first stint. It went as planned. We were higher up on the grid than we in the race than we were on the grid, and so it really did prove to be a great first stint. The boys did a good job in the pits, but we had to let the rest through, I think. We had De La Rosa come out in front of us, and I think that was Carthagena in the pit, so they were double stacking HRD, but quickly past De La Rosa. Oh, I love that move. That's one of the times I didn't mess up turn 1 coming out of the pits. You're going to see that we picked quite a few times, I think 3-4 times, so it's a race to be a pit crew, and again the rear end just getting away with me on that braking point. And this is when the rain started to fall. This is on the lap. The rain started to fall, and you're going to see really struggle with getting the rear end grip, because in the dry it was pushing on the front end, and then when it became wet it was pushing on the rear end, so it was a real change of balance in the car, and it's just hard to adapt to, hard to find. We're already getting laps on that 22, you can see. I think the lead was Grosjean, he was just mega up front. So yeah, we pitted at the end of the lap to go into a great move from the team, and I said I just didn't have grip, so we decided to roll the dice a bit here, and it proved to be the perfect time to go on the end. It's because I think De La Rosa's way ahead here, yeah, almost 10 seconds due to those mistakes, and that was just in one sector. He was putting out 10 seconds, so you can see how slow we were. And Webber was behind us. I don't know what happened to Webber in the first stint. He was nowhere. He's even behind us. But in the second half of the race, he was electric. He just flew away. So maybe he was just being held up and he just couldn't find a way through. But came out ahead of Heikki, and then of course you can see him going a bit wide. But he's on the options, I think. I think he didn't choose the pit, so in front of him, and you can see how wet it's got in sector 1. Really wet here. We're only 5 seconds behind 10 and 5 seconds ahead of De La Rosa, so that pit stop really did work out for us. But again, losing the rear end and braking, and I think we just keep ahead of De La Rosa here, yeah. But it's just that rear end and back. I did move around the brake ballast, put more towards the rear to help give that grip on, but more towards the front as well. It just did not work, and so I just left it as it was at the start of the race, and I just could not find braking balance at all in the wet. You can see that mistake that De La Rosa through, and so we changed on to wet tyres only about 3 laps after we went on to the inters, because that's how heavy the rain is. When it rains in Malaysia, it pours down. There was that famous race in the early thousands when both Ferraris went off, and then you had something like Los Verstappen in the Arrows, like in second place. He was amazing to get into that race, and then after the rain stopped, it just became sunny, and that's what happened in this race as well. As you can see, getting the wet tyres on. Great stop from the boys, under 3 seconds. I think that's what they were aiming for this weekend, like just getting on around the 3 second mark, because about 3.3, 3.4. And again, we got him out ahead of Webber. He stayed on the options like a lap too late in the first stint, but he got past me, and again, that turn again, that right hander, almost losing the back end. You see really hard, and this is what 7 laps later. Look at it, it's sunny now, but when it just pours down, it really does, and it took ages for the track to dry. Well, actually quite quick, because it's one of those modern circuits, isn't it? But again, losing the back end going into turn 13. Or that one, sorry, no, turn 1 of that 33. Yeah, thanks for correcting me, Tony. Go back to QPR. Anyway, what was that interference? Was that just the helmet? Yeah, helmet count just being a bit dodgy. Getting a bit cheap, aren't you, Tony? Anyway, we're going into the pit lane on that 33. I thought you liked the banter. Don't you get it at QPR? Only bottom of the league, and you... No? You don't like it? Okay. Anyway, we're going to the pits, going on into... Sorry about the tangent there. He doesn't mind it, nor me, Tony. But you can see we're going in out of the pits. Again, I'm messing around with the fuel because I want to get into lean. But then that Marussia just parked it on the apex, and it's a great job on the team getting us out ahead of De La Rosa. But that Marussia just getting in the way in important moments. And again through 2 and 5, it just managed to keep it on there. But then it went a bit wide. bit too much curb there, so I went wide in turn 6 and De La Rosa went through, and look at that, he just moved out the way for De La Rosa. Really not impressed. And again, that 35, the tyres just did not grip, we didn't have the rear end balance, and again the balance was changing again a bit more, as you can see the track's dry and it's going towards more of the front end pushing again, so it was really a tough car to drive this race where we had no pace in the wet. And as you can see, even though the track only has one dry line, we had to pit basically because we were losing loads of times on the inter, so we were behind De La Rosa, I think, or no, that's the Force India. See, I got that wrong in the practice run as well, didn't I? So yeah, that is the Force India, but I think De La Rosa did pit around here. I think he was just leaving the pits actually. Yeah, you can see on the map, yeah, he's just leaving the pits now as we get some fresh options. And we didn't have to pit again, because these options last quite a long time, and as we're just being gentle with them basically in these first few laps. Again, went wide messing with the steering wheel. I was actually quite a way ahead of Heikki at this point. I was about 15 seconds, but I just really struggled. Again, I've never driven an F1 car in this like situation where you have this one dry line, and with it pushing, now the front end was pushing, really struggled. But this is when I was getting lapped, barely touched the Ferrari, and I got a penalty for it. You can see how difficult it is to look at that Red Bull just fly off, and I think I fly off at the next corner. Yeah, again the fronts are just locking, and I think Heikki made it. Yeah, Heikki made it past there, and down to 22nd now. I only had Kev and Camelot behind me, but I think Kev was like 30 seconds behind at this point. Look at that Lotus fly into the gravel trap. That's how difficult these conditions are. If you're just an inch off the line, you have no grip for the corner and you're just going to be flying off. And I had to let the Lotus by before I went in for my drive through, which was a bit annoying, cost me a bit of time, and of course it helps Kev get closer to me, and we're now battling for 23rd in the race. You can see my race pace was just awful after that first stint, and Pick holding it well in 18th, and I think Kovalai and Heikki even was now about 20 or 30 seconds ahead of me out of the pits, but that'll be 40 seconds soon, because again made a mistake coming out of the pits, I think. Oh no, for once I made it right, but that was like my 4th or 5th stop in the pits now, you know, way too many. But later in that, again, just slightly offline, you're going wide, and luckily there's no gravel there, so could just use the tarmac and just keep sending the car, and it gripped. And you can see that the car came 30 seconds behind me. I don't know what happened to this Mercedes. I think it's Rosberg, he's just having problems, but I'll take the chance on that myself around the outside. I did let him back through soon enough, but it was just nice unnapping myself and just making the race interesting, part of just going off. It's nice to overtake, and you'll see later in the race as well, just messing with the leaders a bit as well, going past them and battling with them. So yeah, that was nice to do, and you can see, look at it, Kev came 10 seconds in that sector, almost 10 seconds. So there you can see I let the Mercedes by, and then I had to brake really early to make sure I didn't want to run into him. But again, I just went an inch off the line, so I had to turn in late due to him parking out on the apex. Didn't even know this road was here, so it was nice, and I got DOS as well, so I was up to speed really quickly. But Kev gained loads. You can see he's right behind me now on that 40, and I just outbraked myself. Again, the front end was locking, the front wheels are locking, there's no front grip. So I don't know how our improvements really worked in practice and didn't work in the race. We just had no race pace, and we had good, was it short run race pace, but on the long runs it just did not work. But I got a good exit up 2 through 3, used a bit of curves, and through 4 down the inside, and you can see the track's really dry now, so I can push it down the inside. I braked myself slightly, but kept the line and kept ahead of Kev, and gradually pulled away from it. And I think this is the first retirement, yeah, going past Alonso. I was a bit surprised by that, I think, because Yep, the rears locked themselves on there, so yeah, I was a bit surprised by that and outbraked myself slightly. Well, that 50 I caught up to Pick, I think this is. Yeah, I said I was battling with cars that had laps, so I was battling with Pick here. Is he just keeping behind him? Just got a good run out of that corner again. Just like on Carthagena, I didn't even have to use curves, I think, here, but yeah, he's turning and expecting the apex, and I just done that myself. And you see, Heikki was 50 seconds ahead now. So I let him through, and then I was going to overtake him again down the next straight. Pick didn't mind. He's not battling anyone. He didn't mind. He actually quite liked it. He thought it was Heikki for a moment, but you can see Heikki's. As you're going to see across the line, I think. Yeah, it was sharp. Yeah, you're going to see Heikki was in 20th and Pick's in 18th, but he enjoyed it. You know, it's his second race as well. He just enjoyed having the battle. You know, he was getting a bit bored running by himself, so that was quite fun. And Marussia weren't happy, but you know, we weren't happy with them all weekend either. So, no, even there. Yeah, and this is where he hit. Oh, this is great. So, the Lotus, that's me, and he's about to try and that Pick, but then he just runs over the curve and destroys the bollard. I thought it was actually his front wing, like it. That was all his shards of the front wing I was trying to avoid, but yeah, I'm going to have a run at the leader now, seeing as you're slow. Go round his outside. Oh, he was not happy. I think this was Grosjean. He was not happy. He didn't center me when we talked after the race, but you know, he's normally really smarty. Yeah, I turned that upside down. He was just not. He was not happy at all. He didn't like me interfering with the race, and the Lotus weren't happy at all. Like, what's this guy doing? So now I've got to calm down when I'm next to the leaders. But again, past it roll Pick. He didn't mind it. Marussia did, but he didn't mind it. And again, Marussia just told me, why are you doing that? You know, all that traffic, you shouldn't be passing it. But this is the last corner because you got that free time. Oh, just an awful race. But 21st, and Heikki came 20th. We expected so much better than that, like 17th, 18th, 16th, 17th. So it was really disappointing. Didn't see. Just failed our team objectives there. Again, we were expecting 17th and 18th, and Heikki beat me by a lap, it says there, but he beat me by about 50 seconds at the renders. Fastest laps are quite similar though, so I was equal with him that, but it's just an awful race for us, and we expect to do better in Europe, and you're going to see in China we did do better, but well done to Grosjean and a win. Just a second race back, that was amazing, and Perez on the podium as well, and Toro Rosso up there. And you can see, look at that Lotus just dominating at the front. But there I am, 19th, not bad. I was really surprised that Mercedes and Force India hadn't scored yet. Mercedes looks really good. I don't know what's happened with that, but the Force India, I don't know. I think they just have poor starts because the race pace seems fine. But you can see Red Bull down in 7th. That's amazing. Lotus just dominating. Yeah, no, we were just arguing over here. We were arguing over the pit stops. Like, I admitted to my mistakes, but they didn't admit. He didn't admit to his, and saying like, "Oh, I put you at the right time." What are you talking about? And pitting like one lap later. I just don't know. I had a major argument. I don't want anyone seeing that. But yeah, this is my second race. I was a bit too cocky and a bit too blaming on others. Oh, you don't have to show this. Why are you showing the headlines from there? No one wants to see that. It's not even a good picture. Only kidding, Heikki. But yeah, it wasn't a good race from me or from the team, basically, and expect much better in China, that you see. It was all sunny. I was really pleased about that. It was all sunny. But yeah, we expect to be on the edge of Q2 again in qualifying in the race. Expect to be much better. And talking about the teammate challenge, Andy, you had to say that after I get beaten by Heikki, didn't you? But yeah, teammate challenge really important over the year. Like, helps with development. Like, the lead driver gets the parts first, and so it's really good competition within the team with Heikki, who's, as I said, really experienced and brilliant driver, and tyre end looked good. And again, look at that qualifying, 3 seconds off, and in the race 4 seconds off. So look at that Mercedes got the fastest out. So I don't know what will happen to them in the race, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed that Malaysia roundup. Disappointing for the team home race, but in China, was it better? Well, you have to find out next time. Like that advertising? Yeah. Okay. Bye. No, I said pit on the bloody that way. I was going off for it. You just said put me round. You didn't do that Hakey. You saw Hakey's engine. You just put him in. You pushed him in. I don't fucking do that. You. Oh fuck. Yeah, that's what they taught you in fucking secondary school, didn't they? Put your finger up there. You